To walk us through the week that we had and really kick us off of what the rest of the few weeks are going to mean, David, is this really the turning point for the dollar?
I think as far as the market's concerned, there's definitely a bias, without question, towards that. It is. They're looking for basically the Fed to cut moving forward next year. Basically, the market's going, okay, the Fed, you're going to hike in July. We're giving you that. There is a chance of another hike. But really, the market's going, we're looking for cuts next year. We're looking for about 2 to 3 cuts in the first half of next year. And that's obviously based off the CPI data and the PPI data that came out last week. It came in a lot better than expected. So this idea of a smooth landing, there's certainly data to back that up at the moment. And the market is very happy to run with that idea. And run with it is. However, having said that, if you look at the inflation expectation data that came out on Friday, particularly in the 5 to 10 year, which the Fed really does look at, that was slightly higher than expected. So the idea is there is a worry that is inflation, even though it's coming down, is it becoming a bit more entrenched? And if it is, the Fed will say, well, that therefore warrants more Fed rate hikes. So it's a bit debatable at the moment which way this is to go. The market is definitely keen to look for data that goes, this could be a soft landing. The Fed is going, slow down a second. We're certainly moving forward, but we're not quite there yet. And remember, it is the Fed that makes the decisions on the rate cuts, not the markets, really, at the end of the day. So markets are going rate cuts, the Fed's going, let's wait and see. And so it's interesting to be how hawkish the Fed sounds at this July meeting.
Right, and David, to your point that the data will be key really for both sides, right, whether that's the Fed or markets. This week, I think you have retail sales, inflation out of the UK, I believe, midweek or Thursday. Just take us through what's top of mind for you as we just get started this week.
Yeah, well, as you rightly said, it's two sides of the equation. So there's a Fed side, and obviously there's the other currency side. So obviously the China data that's coming out today is very important. Certainly that will impact obviously the yuan and risk sentiment. So the Aussie dollar and Kiwi dollar, two currencies to look at for there. Then moving forward for other data, retail sales in the US, does that add to the idea of this soft landing? And also certainly in the UK inflation data. Obviously the market's looking for the Bank of England to hike above 6%, and does that inflation data come in hotter than expected? If it does, do we go back towards this 6.5 area that the markets were looking for the Bank of England to hike just a week or 2 weeks ago? So, and if that is the case, obviously that'd be positive for sterling and bad for the dollar. So going forward, those are really the key points to look forward to this week. As we go to next week, which is very important, of obviously the Fed, Bank of Japan, central meetings